Jeffrey, most of the people here will only know the current Resilient, the company we're in at the moment. What was it that sparked you to form the company all those years ago?
Well, Andrew, it wasn't that long ago. We started Global because we thought it would be fun, and we all enjoyed finding ways to expose our creativity. We started in the first few years with voicemail systems, and then branched out into more sophisticated voice call handling systems, which got a lot closer to solving real problems. Voicemail had become a bit of a commodity, whereas as large companies were increasingly introducing hot desking and home working, we found a real niche for ourselves in building these voice systems, which we delivered as a product to those large organizations.
What do you think has been the biggest change in business model in your time?
The biggest change for us, without any question, was the move from software as a product to software as a service. You may remember when around the dot-com crash, when the ASP providers first came into their own, and there was the concept that service should be delivered from what is now known as the cloud, and it's given us a huge opportunity to get far closer to our customers and to solve real-life problems in a way which requires less from them in terms of risk and technology, and far more, offers them far more in terms of getting close to the heart of the problem.
Jeffrey, solving real-world problems has always been a theme of yours. Give me an example of a real-world problem that you've been proudest of solving.
The proudest example I can think of is with St Mungo's. St Mungo's is a home for the homeless. And of course, one of the big problems they have when they are going for a job is to provide an address for them to be contacted on. And what we provide them with is a virtual telephone number. So Joe, at the end of the interview, can say, call me on my home number, and if I'm not in, please leave a message. We provide Joe then with an 0800 number, which enables him to call in and collect his messages free of charge. It's like Joe having for the first time a modern version of his own address.
You've also been involved over the years in helping organisations use voice across their whole organisation, bringing teams together and so on. How did that develop in the early days?
We were providing services or software which enabled large enterprises to better introduce hot desking and home working. And a key theme to that was team working. And in that respect, it seemed helpful to better describe what we did, to change our name from Global Communications to Team Phone, which is what we did.
Ever since we started, we always said, let's build software the right way. When Jeffrey was in charge, he literally told development, build the software I want. He never really interfered in how it should be done, and which meant that we could just build it the way it was meant to be built. And I think we just kept that going throughout as we changed and as we evolved. That's really motivating.
The spirit of the people I love as well.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
And a great bunch of people. It's like to me, it's become a second family.
Yes.
Definitely. Just had to convince Sheila, Resilient is not my mistress.
So Tony, in your early days of selling the Team Phone propositions to large customers, what was it like selling a fairly complex systems integrational product?
Well, you have to consider the environment. I mean, it's hard enough selling through a reseller like BT, but also when you factor into that the complexity of selling a bespoke solution every time, it gets even harder. Not only relying on the account teams and obviously the end customer, but also you've got to factor in third parties such as software and hardware suppliers, coordinating the logistics of getting equipment supplied and integrated and delivered, and also relying on BT to actually install the stuff once you've sold it, which was
get
never
it working
easy.
as well.
Get it working, get it commissioning, minor details.
And from your own point of view, selling software as a service, how's that changed your way of selling?
Well, the nice thing about it is it's replicable. Within the MOD, for instance, if you consider we sold the Abbeywood system, we sold the main building system, two big, large, complex products. As soon as we turned smart numbers into a service within their network, it was put into a catalogue. Anybody within the MOD could buy that service. Not only that, we're still reaping the rewards of that right now, where we're looking to actually not break away from the MOD markets, take the service into central government, into police and other sectors who can buy off that catalogue of services. We could never have done that with a CPE-based solution.
So one investment, one piece of complexity, and a long-term selling opportunity.
Absolutely.
One of the key changes that I brought into the company is probably setting the bar for a really good dress sense. I've received a number of comments that have changed the way people dress, and that's one of my major contributions to the company.
Dave, in your career with BT in business continuity, I understand not only did you become a fellow of the Institute of Business Continuity, but you also had to acquire a Class 1 heavy goods vehicle licence. What was that like?
Well, it was tremendous fun, actually. But the reason for gaining the licence was to allow me to be able to drive some of the BT vehicles that we used to tow the trailers that we used for recovery when customers lost their telephone systems.
And what was it like to help a customer recover from a disaster in their voice network?
Well, sometimes it was tremendously interesting and sometimes it was somewhat challenging. I always remember the first disaster I got involved with. It was back in 1986 and it was a company called Southern Gas who traded out of Hillsea. They'd been having problems during the day with their toilets up on the first floor. They brought a rodding company in. The rodding company had cleared the blockage, told the staff they could carry on using the toilets, which they did, but they hadn't cleared the blockage. They'd knocked the end of the soil pipe off. So it was all accumulating in the false ceiling. And on the ground floor, just below the toilets, you had the telephone system. And in those days, telephone systems were not kept in computer rooms. So you had a matrix on the top of the telephone system and two fans underneath. So you could literally say that it hit the fan.
Starting Resilient, been there 3 months, and it's been a fantastic experience. I think I've said this first week I landed in Resilient. It has so much potential and it's going places, but more than that, you're not a number. It's very much a family feel. And the fact that the CEO can walk up to you, or even the chair, and decide to have a chat about what you're doing, it takes you places. It makes you think, my God, I can actually do this. And it is not something that's actually daunting, because they're a human being just like me.
What are you most excited about looking forward?
Excited? Well, this hasn't had a lot of visibility inside or outside the company yet, but the work that you're doing on the enterprise telco category is something I'm finding really, really exciting. The enterprise telco is the name that we're given to the category of services around Direct Connect, where essentially the customer can become their own telco. There's a lot of benefits that extends to the organisation. And so the fact that we're involved in the creating and defining of this category allows us hopefully to become synonymous with it. Because if we can become synonymous with a category that has a broad market acceptance, then there's great opportunities for growth ahead.
So James, what are you proudest about in your time at Resilient?
Well, I think to answer that question, I think there's no better time than to refer to the new branding. Because new branding really, to me, tells me everything I'm most proud of at Resilient, which is the people. The Resilient Plus branding, the plus being the people that work for Resilient. When you're dealing with Resilient, it's Resilient Plus. And those are the Resilient Plus people that that give the care and attention when we're first dealing with customers to make sure we fully understand what their requirements are. It's the plus in Resilient that makes sure that when we're architecting the solution for the customer, we're architecting it not just with their requirements in mind today, but where they're likely to expand. It's the plus in Resilient are the people that make sure that when we take the customer support calls, we're really going the extra mile to make sure we fully understand the customer's requirements. So it's the people in Resilient and the Resilient Plus that makes me most proud today.
Good morning. Thank you for calling Resilient Networks. My name is Geeta. How may I help you today?